Hello everyone, my name is Henry, and this is not going to be another ARG video. Sorry for only uploading those for quite a bit. Anyway, the reason I decided to start uploading a lot of ARG stuff is because it was fun, it was cool. I have no idea currently. Here's the thing with me. I know the whole entire story, but I'm probably never going to release it. Like, never gonna tell anyone what the real story is in a long time. Like a very, very, very long time. At least in quite a bit, I'm not gonna tell anyone the real story of it. I know the story, I'm just never gonna tell anyone. That's my way. And this story is good. This story is honestly good. It is supposed to be like something okay. It's a good story in my opinion. And it's good enough to become good. So I found it like one of the best stories I probably ever made. Personally. One of the best stories I ever made, personally. So yeah, it's one of the best stories I ever made, in my opinion. It's a good ARG. Personally, I think the best episode of the whole ARG had to be the newest episode, which had a mix of Spanish and Russian in its name. And it was a good part. That was one of my favorite episodes and that I made, in my opinion. The reason is because it actually works. Because here's the thing. I'm using voice mod to make the dark whispering in the empty chair episode, you know, the episode that had the empty chair. So I've been kind of using that empty chair as kind of like a symbolize of like just that voice, because that voice in that dark screen says something. It's in the last episode you hear that like dark voice. You know, that like deep voice. The last episode that we used it, you feel in the last episode that we used it, it kind of feels like in the last episode that we used it, it most likely feels like in the last episode that we used it. We most likely, in the last episode that we used, that, like, style, it was honestly one of my faves of the episodes, mainly for its better just playing. It just unsettled me a lot more. Also, the funny thing is I got scared over a soundboard, because I have a soundboard. And one of my sounds that I was using on the soundboard was an overkill sound part. It was an overkill part of the soundboard, like an overkill. You know, Overkill, the video game. It was overkill. It was an overkill part of the soundboard. And when I press M, it like brings out a big song. And it spooked me out, and that was kind of funny. It was after I made the episode. But yeah, I found that to be my favorite, mainly because it was the first time where that actually worked. Because usually when I use that like voice mod, sort of, usually, like the last episode, it was more of a whisper. It didn't sound like any actual talking. But I think it was because I wasn't on the floor that time I wasn't on the floor, down on the floor and talking. Because the last episode, I had to pretend I was actually in it. It wasn't just me recording an empty chair for a few minutes and talking over it. What I had to do is I had to talk over. I had to stay down, try not to be caught in the camera, and talk. And the funny thing is, the way I was trying to not be unsettled, not unsettle myself while making it, because I'm kind of a little bit scared of the dark. Not anymore too much. I'm still a tiny bit scared of the dark. So if I'm in a normally bright place, then I will be scared of the dark in that place. And my room during the daytime is normally bright, so I'm not used to seeing it dark. And that's why it's kind of scared me. Because I'm not used to seeing it so bright. And so because I'm not used to seeing it so bright, I'm not going to be okay with it being that bright. And so I'm not going to be okay with it being so dark. And so to not unsettle myself, I was watching YouTube. And I turned off my desktop audio so you couldn't hear the video I was watching. So let's just say a lot of the work came to a lot of its work actually probably came to just getting it so I'm not on the camera. And you could probably tell that I was obviously just under my desk. Mainly because the chair moves when you watch it. And that's what gave it away, most likely. And also, you can probably see my head a tiny bit. But yeah, I had to, watch myself, and I had to try. And also, the reason I'm playing on Modern Warfare 2019 is because my Modern Warfare 2 is just not wanting to work today. It asked me for my phone number and bullcrap, and I don't want to give it that, so I'm deciding to just kind of not do that. Yeah, I've done it. There's been a lot of times on the ARG where I'm just kind of just trying to play in the story. The story isn't that good. It's an okay story, but it kind of rips off a lot of the older horror stories, like Five Nights and Petscop, and yeah, I think it might replicate some of them, in my opinion. I think it could replicate some of them, because after all it could replicate. After all, the story was made for practically replicating those type of stories, and they were good. I made a good story, and it looked and sounded awesome, and that's why that's probably one of the reasons I made it. I was just talking to my friend through simply talking to my best friend Olivia on text messages, and I came up with a weird, funny ARG, which I was planning to have the story of that to follow the story of the YouTube part of it. Not the best friend text talking part of it. Not the YouTube text. Not the, messaging text part of it. And I was planning for them to be similar so that the YouTube ARGs can follow the ARG I made with Olivia, so that when Olivia watches them, she can be like, oh, this is kind of familiar. But it did not work that way, probably. Which is understandable. When would you ever, do that? Yeah, the ARG was meant to follow, the ARG I randomly made with Olivia, but it didn't work out, so I decided to just make the ARG after just a YouTube ARG by myself. The ARG, I hope you can hear what the whispers, because here's the thing. if you might think that the whispers that ended the new episode of the ARG was like the episode that ended the new episode of the ARG was like I didn't talk before I said goodbye, but I actually did say a word before I said the goodbye word. You probably didn't notice that, but yes, there was loads of times where I kind of whispered to simulate like ghosts and bullcrap. Kind of simulate like, hey, this guy, yeah, he's not gonna be saying these words out loud. That's what I'm trying to simulate. Yeah, it's supposed to not really assimilate too much. It's supposed to be like some normal bullcrap to have playing around while playing around. I loved the ARG mainly because I'm gonna continue it. The ARG is very simple. It's just like all the other ARGs practically. And horror games practically, but it's a good ARG. It's good. It's awesome. It's an awesome ARG, and I believe it could probably make it somewhere. I believe so. It could probably make it to like somewhere. It could make it somewhere. But I also think the like Russian text and Spanish text to have in front was on purpose. By the way, it was all on purpose. I did put Russian text and Spanish text on purpose. Bye.